Pledge of allegiance to be led by Commissioner Brooks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Robin, can you fix my job?
You want to do the announcements first, Rocco?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll make the announcements. So just a couple of announcements for people that may be here in regards to a couple of cases. Number 3368, which is 156 Franklin, that case will not be voted on this evening. 3373, which is 8 Delaware, will not be voted this evening. The amended plans were submitted, but they have not been yet reviewed by the building department. 3371, which is 355 East Beach. We received a fair number of documentation that, with the late submission, we haven't had any time to review them at all. So basically, we will have to review that. We won't be voting on it now. We will close the hearing on that, and no further submissions, since we will be reading the submissions we just got. And that's it.
Commissioner Alton? Commissioner Creighton?
Present.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Present.
Commissioner Leese?
Present.
Commissioner Brooks?
Present.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Present.
Chairman Morelli?
Present.
Commissioner Alton is absent. Case number 3372, application of Jose Rivera of 123 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3K use, 9-1121 off-street parking, 7-131B accessory structure to convert a one-family house into a two-family house at 123 West Fulton Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 278, Lot 14, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion to grant a 2-year conditional variance.
Commissioner Leonetti has introduced a motion to grant a 2-year conditional temporary variance. Who will second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Brooks has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
I'll abstain.
Commissioner Acevedo?
I would just like to be more specific, Commissioner Leonetti, on what the conditional variance is subject to.
I believe they represented that certain family members would be using the apartment, and that was the conditions that we discussed with them.
Okay. I'll vote grant with said conditions.
Commissioner Leese?
I'll grant with set conditions.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant with set conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant with said conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with said conditions.
This application has been granted with a 2-year conditional temporary variance with the conditions on the record. Case number 3376, application of Sean Quinn of 87 Farrell Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-108.8E rear yard, 9-105.8D side yard, for a new 2-story attached garage at 87 Farrell Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 204, Lot 27, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Who will introduce a motion on this application?
I'll introduce a motion to grant
Per amended plans.
per amended plans.
Commissioner Leese has introduced a motion to grant per amended plans. Who will second?
A second to grant as per the amended plans.
Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
I'm going to abstain from this one as well.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant with as per amended plans.
Commissioner Leese?
Grant with, as per amended plans.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant as amended plan.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant per amended plans.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant as per amended plans.
This application has been granted per the amended plans. Case number 3380, application of Chester Rudell of 11 Delaware Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance in the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.19E front yard, for a new front yard terrace and deck at 11 Delaware Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 268, Lot 10, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, Mr. Riddell.
Howard Curtis, architect,
Oh, okay. Name and
240
address.
241 Lansdowne Avenue, Carl Place, New York, 11514.
Okay, so just state what you're proposing.
The Rudells have owned this home for 35 years. They're proposing to build a front terrace with a roof over it at their home at 11 Delaware. It's located in the M zone, which requires a 20-foot front yard. This home is on Delaware Avenue. It's the west end, so it's the typical 10-foot house setback. There are currently steps only and a garden area to each side. The Rudells are a bit older than when they purchased this home in 1988, and it's just getting more difficult coming and going and chopping ice and snow removal, and this will just make life a bit easier for them to be able to come out. The steps will let out right into their driveway where they park their car on the right side of the property. And we will be replacing the garden areas on either side of the current steps with a low-level planter across the front, so Mrs. Rudell can maintain her gardening that she likes to, do seasonally. As I said, it is in the M zone, requiring a 20-foot front. These houses south of Ocean Front that are on the avenue, you could go down any block in the west end, and you're going to find 2 or 3 of these houses that have, a similar front porch. Maybe it has a roof over it, maybe it doesn't. Some have double height decks. In fact, the house directly across the street I know is up for variance. It's 8 Delaware. Not the new plans, but the house that currently exists has a double height deck with a 3-foot setback. The house on the corner of Ocean Front and Delaware, which is 2 north of the Rudells, also has a masonry patio. The house was probably built that way, but nonetheless, it does have that typical West End, 7-foot patio, 3-foot garden area. As I say, you can find a couple of these on each block. There's no precedent really being set here in that, it does exist throughout the 40 or so blocks of the West End in probably several dozen locations. We're just trying to create something that will allow them to use and enjoy their home a little bit easier than it is, currently becoming for them. I also do have a couple of letters here, support letters. This first letter is dated October 4th, and it states, we, the undersigned of Chet and Joanna Rodell of 11 Delaware Avenue, are signing this letter in support of the proposed front porch project being presented to the board on October 26th. There are 14 neighbors on Delaware Avenue who have signed this and one on Ocean Front in support. I also have a second letter that I believe was already sent to the board dated October 16th from the immediate adjacent neighbor to the south at 7 Delaware, Virginia Murphy, and it states, I have received the attached notice of filing for the variance. I own the home at 7 Delaware next to the applicant. I have no objection to the variance requested by the applicant. So as far as we know, there are 16 signed neighbors in support of this. We know of no objections to it, and we just hope that the board can appreciate what we're trying to create here, and based on the circumstances, that you could look favorably on this application.
What was the dimension of the deck as it protrudes from the front of the house?
7 feet, typical, it's a 10-foot house to property line, so we were looking to build a 7 by the width of the house and maintain the 3-foot setback to the terrace. The 7 and the 3 being the 10.
And then you have the planter in front of it, right?
The planter is the low level,
Yeah, yeah.
It's less than the 18-inch
I
height.
think it would look nice for the neighborhood.
Anyone have any questions? No, I have no questions either. Would anyone like to speak in favor or against from the audience? Okay, in that case, will anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant.
A second.
Case number 3380, application of Chester Rudell of 11 Delaware Avenue, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.19E front yard, for a new front yard terrace and deck at 11 Delaware Avenue, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 268, Lot 10, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Creighton has introduced a motion to grant the application. Chairman Morelli has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Grant.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant.
Commissioner Lees?
Grant.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant.
This application has been granted.
Thank you. Good night.
Welcome, good night.
Case number 3381, application of Kevin Syme of 226 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance on the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the City of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3G accessory structure for an accessory structure at 226 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 120, Lot 116, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening,
Good
Chairman.
evening, sir.
Good evening. Kenneth Apple, 30 West Park Avenue, Suite 202, on behalf of the applicant. Here tonight seeking a variance simply for height on his plans to build an accessory structure. I don't even want to call it that, it's a garage. As you're aware, this property is on East Pine Street. It's very close to Long Beach Road. It's about 3 houses from Long Beach Road. It sits by a 100 by 100 lot. The lot that we're proposing the new garage on is a vacant lot. It's a buildable size lot. Obviously, we did not come to this board seeking a subdivision. He's simply looking to put a garage there. The home is a 2-family house. We're looking to get ample parking for the tenants. Across the street, there's commercial property. We're 2 doors down or 3 doors down from Walgreens. And we're simply asking for the height variance for storage purposes only. I just want to stress to the board that there's no concerns with any illegal rentals. There will be no plumbing in this structure, simply electric. It's going to be an owner's meter. My client, who purchased this property and potentially will end up living in it, owns a surf shop with vintage surfboards. He owns a sunglass company. He owns a construction company. And he also owns, he's also a realtor, so he has a ton of stuff to store. He currently pays $1,100 a month in storage, and this additional 2.3 feet is merely going to be so he can store his stuff. He is 6'5", so the additional 2 feet is going to help him get up and down to put the things there. Again, we're going to have parking for the tenants. There's going to be a 2-car garage. It's going to be a little tight for 2 cars, but it's 20 feet wide. We'll have the entire driveway to park 2 or 3 cars. Parking will get tough there, especially with Walgreens and the auto body shop, tire shop across the street. So he wants to have ample parking for his tenants. There's not going to be any undesirable change to the neighborhood. 2 doors down, the exact same scenario exists. There's 2 structures in the backyard. There's no environmental impact. We're literally asking for 2 feet. We're not blocking any views. There's no great views from Pine and Fulton in that location. There's no negative precedent being set. Like I said, there's 2 doors down. We have an entire 50 by 100 lot that we're literally just looking to put a garage on. And I don't even want to call it an accessory structure because that implies that we're going to do anything more than have a garage with storage. There's no other means to do this. Obviously, he's looking for storage. The apartment on the first floor, there's no way to store under that. It's kind of at the ground level as it is. And clearly, the benefit of the parking and the personal use to the applicant after he bought this home and invested another $60,000 to $80,000 just in this garage clearly outweighs any detriment that granting a 2-foot variance or a 2.3-foot variance would be to the neighborhood or the community as a whole. But thank you for your time. One more thing, it is going to be aesthetically pleasing. So he's a builder. He's going to build it nice. So.
Does anybody have any questions? No, not the audience, members of the board. Do any members of the board have any questions? You'll get a chance. Any members of the board?
Yeah, I'm seeing you have a full 8 foot on both levels. You know, generally 7 foot's pretty acceptable for storage for the upper level.
Isn't it peaked though? It's peaked on the top level, isn't it?
No, you have 8 feet to the tie beams going across.
I thought it was a peaked storage.
No, it's not much of a slope on the roof.
It's dormered, I believe, in the middle.
Yeah,
There's nothing there
right.
between the front and back. I mean, the only comment I'd make is that the footprint is almost the same size as his house. I as far as the garage. It's like, I think it's 20 by 46, is it?
It is. It's going to be,
His current house is 22 by 40. It's actually bigger.
well, it's going to be, it's going to clearly be in the back of the house. I think there's a rendering, not a rendering, but, you know, the only thing I could say is it's going to be, you know, we tried to make it big enough for a two-car structure. It's on an entire buildable size lot. You know, the garage itself, I believe, was permitted, you know, according to the building department. The only thing we had to ask for was the extra height for the storage.
The doors that are showing on the plan right now don't look like a garage door. They look like, I don't know, what would you call these?
Well, one's for the stairway upstairs.
Commissioner, I could have him explain the design, but like I said, there's going to be no plumbing in there, so the concern of a rental is really not on, you know, not something that we're planning on doing, obviously. If anybody did that, they'd be subject to a different issue, because we're literally building this as a garage with no plumbing, with no plumbing planned in it. It's going to have an owner's meter, electric meter, which is permitted, so that he can pay a separate electric from his tenants.
So the size is not really, it's not subject to the variance, it's not a.
Right.
It's
but-
just a 2.8.
But the fact that it's that big and the height variance kind of makes it an imposing,
No, we understand
imposing
that.
building.
We understand that. Like I said, he's a unique applicant only because he has these businesses, he's paying a lot of money for storage, and he has an opportunity on a house that he purchased to alleviate that cost at really, you know, a couple feet of detriment. You know, someone, you know, that's why we came, you know, presenting the fact that we didn't think it was a tremendous thing to ask for in consideration for what he's gonna use it for. In addition, you know, he's about 6'5". So for him to get up there and, you know, get his storage and things like that up there, you know, we kind of thought the extra height would help him from crouching down. I mean, could he get away with it if you didn't approve the variance? Yeah, but he'd have to crouch down every time he was up there.
I'd like to hear from the audience too. I'd sure like to find a foot or so in this thing, but
Just one other question, maybe court counsel can help out. Here it says the accessory structure not to exceed 12 feet. Is a garage an accessory structure? And if not, what's the height limit for a garage?
It is an accessory structure, because the primary structure would be the home, right?
Okay.
So any detached structure is considered an accessory to the primary residence.
Okay.
Which
So
is
it's 12
the
feet.
reason I tried calling it a garage tonight. I didn't want any implication that it was gonna be anything other than a garage. We planned it as a garage, and that's how the building department wrote it up, you know, properly, obviously, but that's why I explained it as a garage tonight. Sure.
Okay.
I'm just finding a little bit of difficulty finding sympathy that your client's 6'5". I mean, I'm 5'6". I got my own set of issues here. You know, I'm just saying.
Well, you know, I mean, I could ask for, you know, a shortened structure for you, but, you know, it's,
I need a step stool for everything.
at least you could
know?
sell the house to someone who's 6'5", and you wouldn't have to worry about it.
yeah, and the fact that the roof pitch is so steep and they're not counting the dormers into it, it really and then the dormers are at the top of the peaked roof, which if you went up to that, it wouldn't be 14 feet, it'd be more like 18 feet.
But again, the purpose of it is when he's up there.
No, I
You know,
understand
he's got
that.
to crouch and then go up, you know.
I understand, but I'm just trying to identify the actual impact of the variance. You know, it's not just a 2-foot variance, it's in visualness, I mean, technically, it's a 2-foot variance. But as far as impact, you know, visual impact, I think it's a bit more.
I understand, but I just, like I said, in this particular case, I just thought it was necessary based on his height and what he's actually going to use it for. He does have these businesses and does pay storage, so
Understood.
I figured it was an opportunity to alleviate that.
Anyone else? Okay, so, from the audience, anyone want to speak in favor? Anyone in favor? Or
In favor or
against?
against?
Give us your name and address, please, ma'am.
Nancy Golden, I live at 220 East Pine
Want to
Street.
bring the mic down a
Just
little
push
bit?
the mic, yeah, perfect.
Nancy Golden, 220 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York. I'm concerned because the structure is so high that they're planning on building. It looks like on the, wait,
You're on the drugstore side of the property?
yes,
Okay.
the one in the middle. I'm
Yeah.
between the two big houses. But the thing is, there are lights that they, not lights, windows that they put in the drawing, so light can go into the attic. But if it's attic storage, I don't think you need that. I have storage space in my upstairs of my house that I don't have a window in, that I can see in. I have to use a flashlight or some kind of outside light to see in. And I'm just concerned about the height of this.
Can you just explain your concern about the window letting in natural light? I just don't understand, I'm sorry.
I'm trying to get the picture up on my screen
Take
here.
your time.
I'm guessing it looks into her yard.
No, it doesn't look into my yard, but the, there's windows on the side of the house, of the unit, on the lower level, that's okay. But the ones up higher on the front and back, like, I don't know why they need that.
She's saying it's an attic, she don't think that it needs windows.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm concerned that the workers that are working on the house now have commercial vehicles, that they have vans that they use to transport stuff. I don't want that to be used as storage for their vehicles at all if they're going to another job. If it's for the tenants, that's okay with me, but I can't get this thing off of here.
The signal may not be that great in here.
What?
The signal, you're trying to get something on your phone?
Yeah.
I'm saying the signal may not be that great.
We have copies of the plans here, though.
Yeah.
We see the.
Oh, wait a
uh,
second,
see
I
the
got it
windows.
moved.
Yeah, we see them.
I'm just curious about, you said you don't want him using the garage to store his vehicle. That's what you're
The
saying?
picture that I have is the tented roof, but there's also a picture also expanding it and going it out wider.
Right, that's
But
the one.
I want
we're-
to know which is the plan. If it's just the pointed roof, that would be okay.
Oh, I think.
But I still think
It's the dormers,
Yeah,
the dormers that you object to.
I don't want them to have dormers on it, because then it's fully operational, and years later, they could come along and put in whatever they want.
Is your concern that it's going to be used as an apartment at some point?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? So what the applicant's attorney said is that there's no plumbing in the structure, so that means there's no bathrooms or anything like that. There is electric that's going to be used at the structure, but it can't be used as an actual residence because there's no.
Well, actually, there's a window on the side also, facing my house.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, and we have those pictures. I have a couple of questions for the applicant.
I'm just concerned that it's going to be used just for the tenants.
Okay.
That's okay, but I don't want anything else going on there.
Okay.
They have enough trouble with the flooding that goes on every time it rains. But anyway,
Okay.
it'll
Thank
flood
you.
again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Real quickly, I spoke to my client while Ms. Golden was speaking. My client's willing to take away the window from her side of the structure, if that's going to make it better for her. So we're willing to give you that right off the bat, and then certainly he's available to answer any questions.
Kevin Syme, 10 Monroe Boulevard, 2F, or 226 East Pine Street.
How many tenants do you have in the building?
None right now.
How many would you expect to have in there?
There's a 3-bedroom upstairs and a 2-bedroom downstairs.
So it's a two-family?
It's a 2-family.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this garage this building is set back quite a bit from the street, so there must be a big, long driveway.
It's
Which
all
is-
the way, it would be all the way to the,
Which is where I'm
to
guessing
the
they would-
setback to the back of the
There's plenty
property.
of parking there, and people aren't really going to go in a garage to go park their cars for the most part.
The garage I really want to use mostly for storage, and I would pay for the rest of it and have off-street parking.
What kind of
for-
what kind of business are you in?
I have a construction business and a real estate business and a surf shop, a retail business. I don't sleep too much.
So you're not going to be using this for your construction business or for shaving surfboards or? well,
No,
that-
it's not going to be a workable shop. It's just storage, which I'm paying a lot of money for every month right now for storage. And it'll be off-street parking for the tenants. I would not park my commercial vehicles. I'm already paying the city, I pay to park behind McDonald's over here, you know, the commercial vehicles that I have. I wouldn't be parking vans or trucks over there. It would be for tenants.
So you'll have storage upstairs and downstairs will be parking, the downstairs
Downstairs
parking.
is really going to be storage also for the most part, you know.
So-
And also the tenants will have some storage.
Very trusting.
Sorry?
You're very trusting to have your.
There's a little garage there also from, on the one lot. The other lot is empty, so the tenants I would give, you know, the one garage to, and maybe some storage in my garage as well. But I really need the storage. Right now I'm paying almost $1,200 a month just for 6 containers that basically get humidity and all my equipment, all my storage, everything gets ruined from mold and water. So I'm kind of being forced out of there, which is,
So how is this going to help that?
it's not metal.
But
The metal containers are where everything is getting.
this is all equipment for your business, it sounds like.
And storage, it's just a lot of Tupperwares, it's a lot of Rubbermaids, it's just personal storage from all the businesses. So I'm not planning on using it as a workshop or anything like that, just storage.
Now, condition, I mean, would also be, if we were to grant this, that we're not going to have any commercial vehicles parked on premises, that it's written into the.
I think that's already part of the code, that you can't
I know,
put.
but I'd like to see it personally in the,
No, I'm fine with that. That's the law, and I get that, you know, that neighborhood, everybody's parking commercial vehicles in their driveways. I don't do that. I'm paying the city, it's $500 per vehicle per year to park over by McDonald's. So,
anyone else have any questions?
It's a very large building for storage, and then asking for a variance on top of it. That's what,
it's really just so I can stand upright upstairs is really what it is, and not be crouched over and shimmying all the way. That's the bulk of it, you know.
I mean, it does look like it could lose a foot and make it a 7-foot storage area, if you want to make some concession here.
If I'd have to, then, you know, then that's what I'd
I
have to
don't
do.
know how the rest feel about that, but
I'm also willing to put in privacy bushes or something up front. I've already fenced in the whole property with nice white vinyl fencing. I've done a lot of upgrades to the property. It was basically a gut job when I got it. The downstairs was destroyed from Sandy, and I put a substantial amount of money into the house already to get it rentable, and it will bring the value of the property up.
I'm for losing a foot and make it 7 instead of 8.
You're saying on both floors.
so, no,
You're
just,
saying both floors?
no, down below, if you're going to drive a car in, you're going to need the 8 feet. But upstairs,
Upstairs.
for strictly storage, you know, you don't need 8 feet.
It's only in the center at that ridge that it's 8 feet.
No, well, not really. If you look at your tie beam is at 8 feet.
Yeah, at the center, it's actually higher.
And then your dormers are a little bit higher than that.
Anyone else?
So it's 7 feet from where?
From the floor to the tie beam, the collar beam that goes across. Gives them clear headroom, 7 feet all the way through. It's-
What would you like to see changed on that?
Sorry?
What would you like to see changed on that?
Just that it drops down 1 foot,
Drop it up.
1 foot, yeah.
What about the window?
The window doesn't bother me.
Just because it was brought up, you know, for,
The window makes it look nicer, actually, and it's not really, and it just provides light for inside. And it's not an issue where anybody's being looking out that window at your house, or, so I don't have a problem with the windows.
If the window can stay straight, I can see concessions, the height concession. It's less concern for the neighbor anyway, because it's going to be a little up.
Yeah.
It would look odd without a window on one side and one on the
I
other.
don't want to pull it back, but we don't offer that concession. It's less concern for the neighbors, so that's possible.
Anybody else?
Well, should we ask her how she feels
So I
about
couldn't
no
understand
window
you.
on
You
her
said
side?
you're okay with the 1 foot?
No, I said if we're going to, that's how it's going to be, plans are here for 1 foot. I prefer not to offer window
Yeah,
concession.
I don't have a problem with,
Neighbors' concern.
I don't have a problem with the window. I think the window is fine.
But what-
It's a huge building in length, and so when we're looking at a variance, we try to, you know, in theory, it's a new building, so we could say comply with zoning, in which case you lose, you know, all that extra storage, but you still have a ton of storage, because how long is this building? 40-something feet? 43 feet?
It's a big road.
Right. So, you know, to make some kind of concession, because it's such a big building, I would like to bring it down a little.
If that would please the board, then, you know.
Just waiting for Rocco to...
I mean, if the window was a concern, you know, like if the neighbors, I understand that. Personally, I don't see that it changes anything. I mean, as I see it, it's a commercial block, sort of. The board is walkways. It's not most residential block. It's a double lot. It's a buildable lot. It's a garage with no plumbing. I kind of think we're making a big deal about nothing. I mean, honestly.
I just, like, for me, like, I'm just looking at it as, you know, 1 foot on a building like this. It's not going to be, you're not going to, visually, it's not going to change a thing. Plus, again, like, it's a buildable lot, and we're not having to deal with a new structure when it comes to a family structure. But my big thing is, where he's put it, it looks like it's set back 40 feet from that line, and I drive that block a lot. And if you look at the rest of it, it is like, I would have to say like 50% commercial on that block. So I don't know how many people are going to slow down and, you know, when you drive by and look 40 feet back to see the structure. So I don't know visually how it's going to affect the neighborhood. It's kind of buried in the back.
So you like it how it is?
I like it how it is.
See,
Even with the 8 feet?
it goes to the point, though, Commissioner Lays, it goes to the point where this is new construction. And we've been a little more stern about if it's new construction, built to code, period. You have that option, as opposed to something that's built and you have to raise it and it's FEMA compliant and yada, yada, yada. Okay, so I think that's where, instead of asking for the 2.33 feet, if we make it a 1.33 feet worth of variance.
Can I just comment on that, Commissioner?
Sure.
The only thing I have to say about that, as far as being a little distinct, is this is a buildable lot. And I've seen you guys have subdivision applications, monstrosity, you know, monstrous houses on these double lot applications. So I think the least stress on this board would be to do what we can legally put on that property, which is a garage, which alleviates parking, which is another big concern of the board. And I think the real distinction here in height is the fact that the applicant owns the kind of businesses he owns and just needs the storage and obviously installed. So, you know, I mean, again, I don't, you know, with all due respect, that's just where I see a little distinction in this. Like when you come to your first subdivision, it's a 50 by 100 with putting the structure on. We didn't ask for any change of use, we're just putting what we're legally allowed to put on, we're just asking for the height based on the, you know, the underlying factors with regard to this specific application, that's all.
So respectfully, rebuttal to that, I mean, you're still looking for a variance, so you're not putting on what you're legally as of right.
100%.
You know, so I mean,
100%.
you know, there is something to the fact that, you know, to the point, and I understand what you're saying and what the entire board is saying, that there is a point that this is 40 feet off the street in a quasi-commercial area, but the fact that it is new construction and the board is usually pretty stringent on new construction, adhering to the code, you know, as close as possible. Yes, the board makes concessions, but here, I mean, it pretty much seemed as if your client wasn't necessarily opposed to the 1 foot, keeping his window and making the second floor 7 feet. So, I mean, obviously, this is a decision for the board, but with that, you know, our job is to try to keep you know, it's not like, if the board kept it where they denied this variance, he would still be able to build it as of right for 12 feet, and he would still be obtaining some sort of a benefit. It's not, you know, based on the variance factors. It's not that this is, you know, if it's 14 foot, it works, and if it's 12 feet, it just doesn't work, right? Is it substantial? Maybe not, you know, but I mean, you know yourself, each factor is weighed individually. Is it user-created? Absolutely it is. So with all that, I mean, obviously it's the board's decision. I mean, and if they don't feel comfortable voting tonight, maybe they need to deliberate a little bit more. But
Also, how is it a buildable lot? I don't, what does that mean here?
Size-wise, it's a 50 by 100, technically
It's
size-wise.
30, it's 230 by 100.
So 30 by 100, I'm sorry, 230 by 100.
So it would be actually like 55 feet back into the back road itself.
He is, like I said, he'll give the foot, that's what's gonna make it work.
So it would be 7 foot to the bottom of the college house?
Yeah, so you have.
I could still
The
not
lowest thing in the ceiling
bang my
would be
head
7 foot,
constantly up
which-
there, that would be wonderful.
I think it's a concession to keep it as close to code as possible and still give him virtually everything that he's asking for, which is not crazy. But I know you're going to put your equipment in there, and your business stuff is going to be in there. I just know it.
I'm sorry?
I know your business stuff is going to be in there. There's no other reason for a structure like this. But
It's-
that's not what we're looking at here tonight.
It's a lot of personal storage and business storage as well. But it's not going to be a workshop. I'm not building or maintaining or fixing surfboards or building cabinets or anything like that. It's just-
But a guy's going to come at 6 o'clock in the morning and take stuff out of the building and put it into trucks?
No, it would be more like 8:30, and it's not all the time. So, you know, if I did that, it was at the start of the day. My, you know, stuff is in trucks and it's on jobs, and it's just when I'm ending a job and going to.
I know, that's why I know that's what you're going to use it for, which is by regular code not allowed. We're not really considering that right now. We're just looking at a building. How you use it is between you and the city after this.
And that's just one business that I do. A lot of it's going to be dead personal stuff.
Right, and you probably won't have a problem.
Yeah.
But
I'm not looking to make waves. I don't, you know,
I know.
I don't operate like that.
All right, I mean, it sounds to me, we've heard, actually from the audience already, so there's nothing left to heard. I think at this point, since there's some consideration here that the board wants to make, I think it might be prudent not to vote on it. I don't know if anybody's even gonna wanna make a motion.
I would make a motion to grant it, bringing down the ridge by 1 foot.
All else the same.
Yeah, the window, I don't really care. I think the concern about the window is misplaced. I don't think it's a problem.
Industrial with the window.
Right, it looks more like a house.
If that's what you're proposing, and that's the only change that you would make, I would agree with that. I think it's a reasonable concession. I would be prepared to second that motion.
So just to be clear for the record, it would be granted with the motion, would the motion be granting with the condition of a maximum height of 13.33 feet?
To bring down this drawing by 1 foot.
What is
And-
it?
To reduce the overall height by 1
The
foot.
ridge line down 1 foot. Inside, you could do whatever you want, but would bring the ridge down by 1 foot.
Thank you.
Reduce the height by 1 foot. That's it? The overall is to reduce the height by 1 foot?
Yeah.
Yep.
No other changes, nothing with the window?
Plans revised?
Oh.
I think that this would cover it as far as the zoning board is concerned. To resubmit for the building department, you'd have to do new plans.
Joe, are you okay with that? You want them
Yes,
to
I'm fine with that.
to vote on it as is, with the reduce it 1 foot, or do you want it to submit to the building
It's a condition.
department?
We're granting it on,
They're granting it with,
I'm just checking.
it's
I
okay.
understand. I'm not-
They're granting it with a condition. As long as all else remains the same, it wouldn't trigger any other variances because the height is the only variance that they're requiring. or that
No
they're
parking.
Where?
that's part of the city rules. I don't know if that pertains to us.
Well, we're not allowed in what happens at two different things, you know that.
All right, so are we,
Around.
is someone
There's
making a
couple of
motion?
blocks around there, you know, 1 block south, I think, you know.
Is somebody making a motion on this? Am I reading it in? Is someone making a motion?
I'll make a motion to grant with the condition that the overall height of the structure be brought down 1 foot from what is shown in these plans.
I'll second.
Case number 3381, application of Kevin Syme of 226 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, for a variance from the following section of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.3G accessory structure for an accessory structure at 226 East Pine Street, Long Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 120, Lot 116 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. Commissioner Leonetti has introduced a motion to grant the application with conditions. Commissioner Brooks has seconded the motion. Commissioner Creighton?
Grant with said condition.
Commissioner Acevedo?
Grant with said conditions?
Commissioner Lees?
Grant with set conditions.
Commissioner Brooks?
Grant with set conditions.
Commissioner Leonetti?
Grant with said conditions.
Chairman Morelli?
Grant with said condition.
This application has been granted with the conditions stated on the record.
Thank you very much.
Case number 3382, application of Darlene Hoyt of 205 Blackheath Road, Lido Beach, New York, for a variance on the following sections of the zoning code of ordinances of the city of Long Beach, New York. 9-105.8B height, 9-113.2G off-street parking standards for construction of a new house at 205 Blackheath Road, rear yard, Lido Beach, New York, also known as Section 59, Block 82, Lot 132, on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map.
Good evening, folks. Your name and address, please.
Stephen Schaefer, 205 Blackheath, 205 Blackheath Road, Lido Beach. If you look at the map, you're familiar with Blackheath Road. We have the backyard is in the city of Long Beach. The front yard is in town of Hempstead and Lido Beach. And we had a house there when we first bought the house. There was a second house in the backyard. I believe I included that picture in the packet. So what we're looking to do is finally replace that house with essentially, it was lost in Sandy. It was destroyed in Sandy. It was deemed an unsafe structure, and it lied fallow for a number of years because there was the debate with the New York Rising. We all know that. Then there was with the insurance company, followed by bulkheading debacle, which finally got rectified. And then in all these years, there was, her father died, my father died, my mother died, 2 kids were born. It was a lot. So we're finally, at this point where we can rebuild it. So we're trying to do almost a one-to-one replacement. So there was a 2-car garage there with a roughly 900 plus square foot house attached to it, much more spread out than what the current plan holds. So because in that time also, the federal government put a LIMWA line through the property. I'm familiar with that limited wave action zone. So that means that we're not in zone AE anymore. We're in coastal A. So the type of building that has to get done is different than, say, even in the house in the front in Lido. So it has to be elevated. So we're looking to, I guess, replace the same square footage of the 2-car garage that was there, and then on top of that, put the house back elevated. And the reason for the storage space above is because we have a basement in the present house that continually floods. So we've, through a lot of discussion with the insurance companies, they said if we fill that basement to grade, then we come out of this, $4,000 a year flood insurance premium that we pay. So that's, the basement presently is, I think, 844 square feet. So we want to put storage on top of the house, which is going to be less. I think it's only 500 and change, to make up for the loss of the basement that is, on the docket to take place. So that's essentially where we are. Rebuild the house in the same, if not smaller, square footage that we had there, reducing the footprint on the property, but then going higher with the additional storage that will be lost from our present house in the basement. Hopefully that made sense to everyone.
Made sense.
Okay.
I thought you did a pretty good job.
All right. Thanks.
You explained. Now, what's the design of the house that you're going to be putting up? Well, how many bedrooms and what?
Oh, it's
The plan wasn't really clear about.
it's like a large one-bedroom that encompasses. So the garage is sort of like a rectangle, and then the living space is a square sitting on top of it, cantilevered, held up, and then on top of the garage, on that next story, is the storage space. So it's like a large one-bedroom studio with the storage below and storage above.
It's like a large studio, because there's no
Yes,
separate
yeah,
bedroom.
essentially, that's what it is.
Well, I mean, the architect,
He just put,
debated where the bed is.
yeah, he put like living room where sort of like a studio bedroom would be.
That was going to be my question, because
Yeah.
I saw the storage on the first floor, and now you explained the whole,
Right.
the basement from the first floor, you need the storage, but then you
Right.
have a secondary storage on the third floor, but you have no bedroom to your house.
Right, but yeah, he put live room there instead of like sort of indicating that that was a sleeping quarters.
And how are you going to use this new residence? Like, who's going to live there? What's...
Oh, the other house was, in the years that we had it, we did rental part of the time, and then we used it for family another part of the time. So, I mean, eventually it would probably become rental again.
So
It was-
like an Airbnb?
No, like a rental. We had like,
Seasonal or family, or we do
Yeah.
it a full-time. I mean, we haven't had it in years, and we could.
And
Yeah.
the access and the impact is in Lido. It's not in Long Beach anyway.
Should we talk about the parking too, or we?
Is this the cantilevered part, well, it's not cantilevered actually, but is that going to be used as a carport also?
no, we hoped to not have to do that because of all the other parking. I think in one of those pictures I showed you how many, it's a very long driveway. We can put a lot of cars there. So we would rather not and leave that like as a permeable surface, just because we're on the canal. Any water coming over, there's just too much paved stuff here, I think on the Barrier Island. So we kind of wanted to leave that as permeable.
Yeah, okay.
And we have two little kids, so like a little soft landing pad, kind of.
You barbecue in the rain under there too.
Yes, something like that, I guess, yeah.
So basically, the 30-foot height that you asked for was dictated by the FEMA elevation, am I correct?
But, I'm sorry?
The 30-foot height that you were asking for was dictated by the FEMA elevation, correct?
Part of it, yes,
Yeah,
because,
And filling in the basement.
right. Otherwise, that house,
Storage.
yeah, the house would have to be built completely different with breakaway walls and all this stuff. They kind of turned it into like our zone, into an oceanfront. So, if you have these breakaway wall kind of situation, then it's like not really usable, I think, as a storage space for us. Not for what we previously used it for.
How tall is the house on the Lido lot?
Maybe 30?
So I mean, is this going to be taller than that?
I think that one side of it will be very close. But like as you come down the driveway, that would be
But
very
it's
close.
set so far back from Blackheath that it's not really going to have a height impact on Blackheath. You're not going to really see.
No, only if you look straight down the driveway would you actually see the, that part of the structure. Most people didn't even know there was a house back there, for years. They would walk in the backyard and be totally shocked.
And you're still going to be pretty far away from the canal.
Yeah, there's a bit of a setback from the canal. Yes, not too far. The old structure was, I think, 60 inches off the bulkhead, and it actually overlapped the neighboring property. So it was actually over the property line. That's, obviously we're trying to reduce the footprint and shift away in all directions.
Right, so I also wanted to clarify, because obviously the concern was raised about the Airbnb thing. When you did have the house, what was it rented as? It was rented as like, let's say from winter, like a winter rental, it was done as like a winter rental, and you had it for yourself in the summer, or the opposite?
Yeah, we had, I think we had a number of long-term rentals, and then we had a short-term rental when there was another hurricane, I think Irene maybe, and there were some people from, I think the window industry stayed for months on end repairing like Marvin windows on the Barrier Island or something. So we rented it to them. And then we had a friend of mine who would come seasonally from England who stayed there. I think he was there for like 3 winters, and then my parents rehabbed there before they passed away. They were there for a little while. And we used it family, mostly for family.
Very good. I'd like to hear from the audience at this point. Anybody want to speak in favor or against? Come up. Give us your name and address for the record.
Chris Chernoff, 197 Blackheath Road. Opposed to it. Again, I feel bad even being here because they're great neighbors, and I think, we get along very well, and I totally understand the fact that they want to replace something that was there when they purchased the house. I've been there for over 20 years. And that second house back there was a little cottage that was probably built in 1920-something. And when I was there was a full-time resident person that rented that house, and and I totally get what they want to do, and maybe even if I was in their shoes, I would want it also. However, things aren't the same anymore since Sandy, and so now you're talking about a structure that legally has to be raised 8 feet. And I'm on the south side of them. So, on top of it, it seems that they want to even go higher with storage space. So you're basically putting a structure on the property in the back of Blackheath Road, which has no other carriage houses, cottages back there. It's not a two-family rental community, and to me, it's going to block my view. And on top of it, I'm concerned about, you're always concerned that if somebody has a rental income, who's going to be renting back there? There's a ton of kids on the block. I have 3 daughters. People are going to be able to stare right into my backyard. And I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I understand that they want to do, replace what was there, but what was then is not what it's now. And then the other thing is, the parking on Blackheath Road. Blackheath Road is, in the summers it's a little bit more quiet, but as you know, the back of the high school is there. The traffic is absolutely insane. And I think we're all courteous, because you can publicly park on the block in front, but we're pretty courteous because, he parks his car if he has to, if the space is open, and, but, as far as the additional space for the driveway, if the building department does grant him to be able to build, that they should have to follow whatever the law is about the additional, parking space, because who knows how many cars, if they do rent it, how many cars this person or family is going to have at the same time. But I just think that it's going to be like a building in the back of Blackheath Road on that beautiful property. Of everybody has a, it's sort of sacred in I guess Lido Beach / Long Beach, the backyards in Long Beach, and it's a special block that has more property than the norm in Lido Beach, Long Beach. So I just think that, and again, it's not that I want to prevent it either, because it's the great neighbors, but at the same time. Yeah.
Just for a minute. Part of the problem is that it seems like the height is a big issue because you got this thing. Your opposition, it seems to me, is the storage, the height that the storage is causing, right? So if the building were lowered and there was less storage or no storage, or how would you feel about that then?
I mean,
because it seems like something's going to be built.
Yeah.
The question is, how high?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if that's, I mean, I just, I have my own personal, again, I don't know the laws and everything like that, but if I just feel like if I was going to be transparent is, I would love to have a rental property in the back of my house. I pay $26,000 in taxes. I got $800,000 in my house on top of whatever I paid for it. I would love, if you told me I could build what they're building right now, I'd have it up in 4 or 5 months and have a rental property there. So should everybody in Blackheath Road have a carriage house that they could rent? I mean, that's how I personally feel,
No,
but I
agree,
totally.
That's also a choice of it, and honestly, the thing is, unfortunately, Sandy's changed the complexion of everything.
Right.
I mean, we could all debate if it's improved the way we live and the way it looks, but that's what we're stuck with. So the thing is, it seems like something would be built, but what would be the least impact on people?
So
like
if
you?
something was going to be built, it should be as close to the height possible of the previous house that was there. That's really, so if something was going to be built, I just think that, the additional height that they want to keep going up is just not the right thing to do.
Okay.
And that's really, it's not that I'm opposed to, I would want them to have the house back there and the income.
By code, if it was, say, it was a one-story house before, all right, whatever was there before would be up to the flood level, which is maybe 6 feet above grade. So no matter what, if they're replacing the living space, it's going to be higher. And that's by code, and they would pretty much be, by right, be able to do that. It's the extra storage upstairs, which is what's requiring the variance right now.
So that extra 6 inches, 6 feet, will bring it pretty close to what they're requesting now. Because if it was 23 feet before, and I don't know what it was, but if it was a 2-story house, and we're going up another 6 feet, there's your 29 to 30 feet right there. That's by code. That's why that was
The
going
variance,
to be
the
my...
variance is measured from the flood level.
Right, okay.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Leonetti, because this is what your expertise is in, right? But now, my understanding is that the finished first floor, per FEMA regulations, must be 12 feet above sea level. However, this house is being built 20.8 feet, the finished first floor is being built 20.8 feet above sea level. So that discrepancy alone would negate the need for variance if it was built at 12 feet as opposed to 20, or nearly 21. The diagram that I was referencing was Apple or Alejandro A.
Hot.
Alejandro
A4, Apple 4. Sorry, Walter.
Okay, that's okay.
It depends on what you're calling first floor and second floor. The variance is required because of the level that's called storage. I'm sorry. There's 2 storages. The unfinished attic.
Yeah, unfinished attic and the
Right.
deck. The deck goes off of an unfinished attic, which is.
Right. Well, the deck itself is below, but the unfinished attic area, that's what's pushing it above the code, by right level.
I mean,
It might, so what I'm saying is, by right will probably be higher than what the original house was.
It has to be because of FEMA,
Right.
you know, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so of course it's gonna be, it's already gonna be, what is it, 6 or 8 feet higher than it normally was?
Understood,
If you
understood.
built the
That's
same
what I was,
house.
that's what I was trying to say before,
Right.
so that even if it was duplicated from before, it's gonna be higher than that now. And what's requiring the variance is that, what they're calling the second floor, which is storage. So I was just making that clear to the rest of the board.
I gotta say, I think Commissioner Acevedo said it in the last presentation we had, the previous case, is that if we're building new, we should be building to the code. I mean, we're building new, we have, you know, it's like he said, it's already gonna be a story, oh, not story, but 6 foot higher than it would have been before. There's you know, the whole height, like you're saying, is based on a storage space up above that has a deck off it. If they just put a roof on it and don't have, and have a storage space that, regular attic storage in the roof, we don't need this variance at all.
And just to add on that, that if you do take off that third floor storage area and put it where that carport is, down below, there's your extra square feet right there, and they'll be building to code.
Right.
You know what, Mr. Chernoff, did you want to add anything else? Because I'm going to let them come back up to the podium. All right, thank you. Now you can sit down. Thank you very much. Is there anybody else? All right, a few folks wanted to come back up to the podium. So you understand the concern of your neighbor, and you can understand the concern of the board members. And the feeling that I'm getting, you know, we're not telling you what to do, but the feeling I'm getting is that there is a concern over the impact of making something that's bigger necessitated by Sandy. We agree. But the point is that, as the two commissioners over here have made it clear, they want to keep things to as close as possible to the code when something new is being built, because you have every option or opportunity, I should say, to build whatever you want. And when we're dealing with people that are doing renovations or lifts, you know, you already have a house, and now if you're going to lift it, that house is going to go over code. So it seems to me, the feeling I'm getting is that there's, you know, some disagreement as to what people want. So I think that this case is not something that I'm going to be comfortable voting on tonight. And I think that maybe if you want to consider basically submitting an alternate plan or modified plan before the next meeting, the record remains open, right? Maybe changing the storage up a little bit or something like that. The board will review the amended plan, and when we vote on it, which is the week before Thanksgiving, we'll vote if you want us to, I think it's November 16th, on that amended plan. But I want to see the amended plan. And if you choose not to amend it, well, we'll just vote on what you submitted. And it may pass, it may not. And I'm not saying even an amended plan will necessarily pass. Can't promise you anything, but I think it would be in your best interest if you wanted to just think about it and maybe submit the amended plan before the next meeting for us to review.
So, I'm sorry, unless you have something you want to say.
To the building department.
To the building department.
Oh, I see, just the amended plan goes to the building department, then if there's still a variance, then it goes back into the...
So what would happen is once you submit the amended plans, let's say if there's no variances required at all,
Right,
live and let live, go do you, go build your house.
I see.
If it still triggers a variance, but maybe it's less of a variance, like, so now let's say instead of the overall height of the house being 30.2 feet, maybe it's 24 feet, hypothetically speaking. It would still come back to this board, but at least this board then would see an effort was made to try to make it comply, or to be close to compliant.
I see. Okay, now, and as far as the variance for the parking is concerned, will that be triggered again, or is that something
That
that's?
will likely be triggered.
If you don't change it, yes.
Yeah.
No, but, I mean, can't we talk about that? We have parking.
But you have to amend you have to amend the plans
The-
anyway.
the whole- so the whole-
So
You
it's,
can't, you can't approve.
No.
no,
Yes,
yes.
has to be
Gotcha.
You can.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No, that's fine, that's fine.
And then and then is there a certain date by which we need to get the plans in to be heard?
So if you get the plans in within a month, let me check.
November 16th is the next zoning meeting. The plans have to be reviewed by the building commissioner first, and he has to have time to look at them, and then he will send a memo to the board, letting him know what the changes are and if there were any
So
effects
probably
on
a
the
week,
denial letter.
Robin,
So
probably a week before the meeting?
I would get it in as soon as possible.
Yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't wait a week
Yeah.
before,
Yeah.
I don't know what his schedule is.
But
either,
here's
so-
another thing you could do. If you don't think that you could get it done by November 9th or 10th, let's say, you could you could just notify this board of your intention to submit amended plans, so that way it doesn't vote on what's in front of them, and we'll give you another month.
I see. And then when we submit the plan, I could go over again, or do you guys hold
No.
on to it?
No, we
No,
don't.
the only reason, you would only have to if the denial
we're
letter
not
changes in
rehearing
terms
the
of
case.
like, all of a sudden you increase the height by like 5 feet or something like that, or if you triggered any other variances like side yard, front yard, or anything like that, then you would have to have a rehearing because they would issue a new denial letter. It sounds like you're lessening the impact, so.
Okay. I guess that's it. Thank you very much.
It's a relatively simple thing. As I said, we're not asking you to present the whole new case.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to come before us again. We're not asking you to, basically prepare packages. All you really have to do is those drawings, change a couple of pages on those drawings if you want. And then just submit it to the building department. Mr. Kevins might say, oh, there's no variance needed now, send us a memo that there's no memo. The memo will say that there's no variance needed. Go your way, as council said. And if there's a little something that triggers a variance, well, we're just gonna look at those amended plans. You don't have to come before us again. And typically what might happen is say, well, all right, this is much smaller than what they presented the night of the meeting. We could just vote on that. We don't have to hear it again.
The reason is one of the factors one of the legal elements or factors to decide a variance is how substantial the variance is. So the less substantial it is, so like if the code says 23 feet, and now you're only proposing 23 feet, 6 inches, that's much smaller. It's a smaller variance than 30 feet, you know what I mean? So that's why you wouldn't even need another hearing if it's small enough.
Yeah, this is substantial. This is like a whole extra story above the code.
Yeah. And could we write like a paragraph to you to point out the differences?
Of course.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is not like a punishment or homework or anything like that. We're trying to lessen an impact if it's possible. We're trying to, be fair to the neighbors, and at the same time, we're not looking to, to sink your boat, you know what I mean? So at this point, at this point, if you felt strong enough and said, you know what, we're gonna roll the dice and see what they say, and if they turn it down, we could go for an Article 78 or something like that. But the point is that to simplify it, all you gotta do is just change the plan. Be happy to, write a little note explaining whatever you want to do, it just needs that, the clarification that you changed the plan and lessened the impact. That's all. However you want to present it.
But to be clear, just because you lessen an impact, it's not a guarantee that anything's going to be voted on.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm a lawyer, I just have to. put
Right,
that out there.
that's the little disclaimer on the bottom. Mark. So,
And as far as the parking is concerned, the variance is because it's in the quote "front yard." Generally, that's not a problem. If it's in the front yard, as opposed to under the house or the side.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
thought-
I can't speak for everybody, but generally, that's not an issue.
It's based on past voting.
Yes.
Right, we thought like perhaps it's somewhat similar to like in the walks, where they don't even have a driveway. And any car you own, you'd have to be on a Long Beach street.
Right.
Where here, any car you own would either be in the driveway or parked in the town of Hempstead.
It looks like it'll actually be on your lot, on that lot.
Yeah, it would- yeah.
So it just won't be on the side or under the house.
Right.
So it's so in the driveway, it's generally not a problem.
Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Case will remain open for voting until, next.
That's it?
Thanks.
All right, that's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Do you have anything else to go through with Robin?
Oh, okay.
Business? No?
Oh, boy, what is Kenny Apples
Okay.
hanging out for?
Thank you, folks. Have a good evening. Be back in a